Well, if at first you don't succeed, never try again. At least in overtime, right, Caps fans?
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Capitals, better known as the show with the team that doesn't want to win in overtime. I am your host, as always, the insider of the insiders, Tyler Kuehl, here to recap another overtime loss for the Washington Capitals. No, kids, this is not a rerun. This is another game when the Caps have lost in overtime. Now, in today's program, yes, we'll talk about the Caps' loss to the New Jersey Devils on Sunday afternoon because, gosh forbid, they ever try to have a game before 7 o'clock because, my goodness, I thought that'd be great. I get to watch the game, get to do my little recap, and be done before nightfall. Well, guess what, kids? Clearly, the Washington Capitals wanted to take the whole day off because, holy cow. Anyways, we'll also talk about what happened. Some good that came out of the Detroit Red Wings win on Friday because the Caps at least win one game before 2022, right? Because let's go winless in 2022, right? No, that's not exactly how it's happening. But we'll get to that. We'll talk about the big milestone, of course, for Alex Ovechkin, most power play goals now in National Hockey League history. We'll talk about that and our Kuehl Kaps of the night here on this Monday edition. And we're not going to look too far ahead because, we got 3 days off now, kids. So, yeah, a kind of a weird schedule here. Of course, the Caps were originally scheduled to play on Wednesday against the Montreal Canadiens in Montreal. But then the Canadiens and I don't know how many other teams got it fixed, but they wanted to have games postponed due to the fact that they were not going to be able to have no or not a whole lot of fans in buildings up in Canada due to the recent COVID surge, obviously not just across the United States, but in Canada as well. I mean, the entire globe for that matter. But so the Caps have a couple extra days off, and maybe they can try to figure out how to play a game beyond 60 minutes coming up here because, holy my goodness, that was bad. First, though, guys, before I complain any more about this hockey club, thank you very much for making Locked On Capitals your first listen and first watch of the day and every day. Free and available on all platforms. Free and available, just like any other team that's playing the Capitals beyond 60 minutes. That's an easy extra point for them because, my goodness, gosh forbid that the Capitals even try to win a hockey game past 60 minutes, even though they did have a close chance. We'll get to that here in just a moment, okay? But let's talk about how this game started, okay? It was a 3 o'clock puck drop at Capital One Arena. Like I said, perfect for me. Get to watch some football, then I get to have the Caps on as well. Had 2 TVs going on in my living room. It was a good day. Granted, I had the TVs kind of still sitting on because of the fact that I had, we had 2 TVs on New Year's Eve. I had a couple friends over, a few vaccinated friends, mind you, only vaccinated people coming to my household. But I was thinking to myself, this is it's an important game for the Capitals, given the fact that a couple days off. Because as of right now, as a result of this game, they are the best team in the National Hockey League. Whoop-de-whoop-de-doo-dah. Because that matters so much when you've played just about the most games out of most teams in the National Hockey League. So with that, it's hard to say. Like, they needed to win this game if they wanted to kind of keep pace up because a couple teams will catch up in games played coming up here. So the game starts off, though, and I don't know what the heck happened. The Capitals looked like poop. I mean, the New Jersey Devils, who had just played a really good game, big, hard-fought win, wild 1980s game against the Edmonton Oilers on Friday at home. They had a day off as well. They played on New Year's Eve, and they came out just with a team that had nothing to lose, wide open, skating around the Capitals, who looked like they had a massive New Year's Day hangover still lingering amongst them. I know Nicholas Backstrom was in the lineup. TJ Oshie was also not in the lineup. But what does that have to do with T in China when there's more players than that, right? I mean, yes, I know. They had guys like Matt Irwin still in the lineup, Michael Kempney, sure, but it's a team that won you against Nashville. It's a team that beat the Detroit Red Wings. What's the big change here? I mean, it's a horrible start against even a decent hockey team is certainly something you don't want to do. And then the New Jersey Devils were in a mad sprint with the Philadelphia Flyers towards the end, towards the Christmas break on trying to catch the New York Islanders for the best chance to get freaking Shane Wright at the end of the season, the way they were playing in December and November. And yet they're 2-0 thanks to this because they had a great start to this one. Now, and I don't know how much you want to put on Ilya Samsonov here, but it all really starts off middle stages of the period. Even the Washington Capitals are starting to pick up their play. Jack Hughes comes down the wing, takes a shot, hits Samsonov right in the shoulder, plops down in front of him. Igor Sharangovich. Oh my gosh. Sharangovich. Holy cow. I'm still having PTSD from doing World Junior coverage, kids. Sharangovich bats in the rebound. Easy one. 7th goal of the season. It's 1-0 Devils. All right. Okay. Well, it's okay. The Caps have fallen behind before. It's happened. It's okay. And then all of a sudden, about a minute 14 later, puck's in the corner, and Dawson Mercer, oh my goodness, the Maritimer who has been sensational this season, he's literally along the boards at the goal line. He looks across and sees Damon Severson 84.5 feet across the ice and says to himself, this is a scoring chance. Whips this thing like he's trying to whip the whales off the coast there, Newfoundland or wherever the heck over there, and somehow gets on the stick of Severson. Beautiful one-timer, top corner too. That is Severson's 4th of the year. Mercer with the wicked feed. It's 2-0 before I even could snap my fingers because the Caps just had a horrible start. Now, that kind of woke them up because, believe it or not, the Capitals ended up out-shooting New Jersey in that period somehow, magically. I don't know who had the home, if that's like a home ice advantage thing with the shot counter, because you say the shots were 13-12 Washington at the end of 20 minutes, I'd be telling you were lying. My goodness. In the second period, New Jersey they go up. Well, I should have mentioned, actually, the Capitals did score a goal at the end of that period because of the fact that massive surge. Nice play by Dimitri Orlov to work the puck in. Orlov was really skating in this game, guys. I really enjoyed watching Dimitri Orlov in this hockey game. Comes down into the New Jersey zone, kind of gets stopped up. Beautiful little behind the back pass to find Michael Scarbosa. He does a nice little cute touch, finds who? Johnny Carlson. He rips in his 8th of the season. By the way, Orlov's 13th assist. And so it is 2-1 at the end of 20. So Capitals do outshoot them, and they do get a goal, but they're still trailing. They end up trailing by 2 early on in the second period. Thanks to Nico Hischier, Damon Severson takes a shot from the point. Hischier tips it in just 22 seconds into the period. Literally, people were still coming back from the bathroom. It's 3-1. And that was literally, well, okay, the highlight that came after that was the save/post hit by Carl Hagelin. Was it Carl Hagelin? Yeah, Carl Hagelin to Nick Dowd, back to Hagelin. Hagelin, piece of the pad by Blackwood, piece of the post as well. Maine's 3-1. In a period where Washington was just like, well, we're just going to not try this period because, I'm sorry, when you are getting outshot by the New Jersey Devils 12-5, once again, this team is a fast hockey team. I see a lot of the 2017, 2018 New Jersey Devils here with this hockey club. Very good star player, Jack Hughes. Really good, fun, wild, open, hard skating players. Guys like Mercer, guys like Sharangovich, and defensemen with Dougie Hamilton back there. And obviously Severson, and a decent goaltender, sort of, Mackenzie Blackwood. And, I'm like, man, this team you can't take them lightly. But you're getting outplayed by them and getting doubled up in shots in a period on home ice. I don't care what time of day this game is being played at. You should still be hanging in there. Thankfully, Ilya Samsonov came up with some big saves in the second period. It's only 3-1 as we go into the third period, where bonkers happens. The game is carrying on, and the way the third period started, you thought, man, because I'm trying to think of how many times the Capitals have come back from 2 goals down in 1 game this year. Because the reason why I ask that is because it's a rarity that the Capitals have really trailed at all this season, just given the record. You look at it and you say, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me. So when it came down to the latter half of the period, latter half of regulation, you thought, okay, well, this is it. Maybe Washington scores, but New Jersey will bunker down. Well, Nick Dowd, a nice little, with an absolute beauty of a goal, picks up a loose puck coming on the left wing side and literally says to himself, I have this opportunity. Literally, I don't know what he thought here, okay? Everyone tries the Michigan goal. Now the Michigan pass. Thank you, Trevor Zegras and Tony Milano. But here he comes on the left wing side, does Dowd. He flips the puck trying to get inside positioning on the defenseman, trying to get it towards goal. It's up in the air, and what does he do? Bats it out of the air. Nick Dowd, noted finesse playmaking superstar Nick Dowd. 5th of the season, it's 3-2. Okay, this got really interesting now. Plenty of time left, about 6 minutes left at that point. And the Capitals are picking up their play. They're getting good chances. They're getting good looks. Okay, all right, nice. But there's no way they're actually going to get it right. Well, puck gets played on in to Mackenzie Blackwood. thinking, okay, this is an easy breakout opportunity. He's going to sweep it off to his fence, and oh my gosh, he just flubs it, muffs it. Puck just sits there, and Lars Eller's like, oh, look at this little thing. Eller just taps it over. Connor Sheary with the easiest goal he's ever scored in his entire life. 1 times his 8th of the season, and we are tied up at 3, and we're going to go to overtime. And let's be honest, folks, when we found out that the game was over in regulation, how many of you just wanted to raise your hand and say, can we just accept a tie for each team because playing an extra 5 minutes is worthless? Because let's be honest, we ain't getting there, kids. I'm sorry. I know Nicholas Backstrom was not in the lineup. TJ Oshie was not in the lineup. Alex Ovechkin still was. Johnny Carlson still was. Dimitri Orlov, who was having a heck of a game, still was. I apologize to all the folks in the back, and I say that there is no excuse for the Washington Capitals to be 0-7. 0-7. 0-7 in overtime. In overtime, this team has found a way to not score a goal in a 5-minute span where the 200 by 85 foot ice surface that is mandated by the National Hockey League that has only been occupied by 6 players, 3 on each team. With the skill that they have, they are found a way to not be able to score 1 stinking goal. That's awful, okay? I get it. You're trying to... I blame the fact that teams are trying to coach in a 3-on-3. They're trying to find ways to play it. They try to... but when you have like your second and third line guys starting in overtime, that's horrible. That is awful. It is dumb. It is stupid. The Caps deserve to lose this game. Literally, the Devils gave them that game. Literally, Mackenzie Blackwood gave the Washington Capitals a point. Excuse me. They didn't give them the game. They gave them a point. So that's my problem with this, is the fact that people think, oh, this is a hard-fought game. We were able to come back and rah, rah, rah. I don't understand why people thought that was a good game. A good comeback for the Capitals to get a point. Because let's be honest, they deserved to lose that game in 60 minutes. They were outshot 37-70. The Caps have hardly been outshot this season. And they get outshot by a team that, had a 6 hours more of rest from Friday? Is that what we're going to do? You're on home ice, and you got your teeth kicked in by a team that, let me just make sure I got my number where I have them placed in the standings, the 7th place team in the Metropolitan Division, tied for 6th now with the win. 31 points does Columbus have, who was in 6th place before today. But the 7th place team, because of a tiebreaker, 7th place New Jersey Devils, outshot with Ovechkin and Carlson, and Kuznetsov was in the lineup, and Wilson was in the lineup, and everyone else. You had your starting goaltender. Thankfully, it was your starting goaltender, because I don't know how Vanacek would have done here. I don't really point the finger at Samsonov for any of these for this game whatsoever. You got beat by a team that was worse than you, and you couldn't even find a way to even pull it out in overtime. Like, this team, I don't know what to expect out of this team. Like, I put it out on Twitter, and we put it on Twitter saying, how, are these points going to matter in April? And a lot of people are like, well, Tyler, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't care if they're going to make the playoffs at this point. It's more or less that, hey, wouldn't you rather be playing in your own barn in the district for game 1? I think I would like that, wouldn't you? That's these 7 points that they have given up may affect the fact that they may be playing, maybe finishing 3rd in the division compared to 2nd or 1st. Now, once again, I know that it's still early on and a lot of things can change. By the way, just want to make sure I make it clear, talking about how bad the Capitals are in overtime in general, they had 0 shots on goal. I know Lars Eller had a close chance, but Nico Hischier with a beautiful finish after a good hardworking play by Jack Hughes. That was the game-winning goal, just in case you were curious. After Dimitri Orlov failed to clear it, Hughes to Hischier 2nd of the game. 3 shots on goal in overtime, all of them by the New Jersey Devils. And as of right now, as it stands, yes, the Washington Capitals are 1st in the Metro, 1st in the East, and I believe 1st in the league. Yes, 1st in the National Hockey League with 34 games played. And if you're curious, the Tampa Bay Lightning have played 34 games. and the Vegas Golden Knights. Oh, Anaheim has played 35 games. So this is tied for the second most games played in the National Hockey League this season. Only Vancouver, Vegas, and the Lightning have played 34 games this year. So I'm sorry. When I see the fact that you're only up on the Carolina Hurricanes by 1 point and they have 3 games in hand, I don't consider them the best team in the National Hockey League. Until game 82 hits, or you get to that point of the year where there's mathematically impossible for any team to catch you, whatever you want to call it. Until that day comes, I'm not going to consider the Washington Capitals the best team in the National Hockey League because of games like this. All right? Because here's the thing. I get it. People are saying, oh, it's because they didn't have a full lineup. When have they had a full lineup this year? When? Tom Wilson's been out for how long? Anthony Mantha probably won't come back until after the Olympic break. I mean, come on, guys. The excuses are no longer accepted here on this show. Good teams, like I said it last week, I've said it before. Great teams find ways to win without all the cards in their favor. The good teams will win when they have the best on best. Sure. But only great teams find a way to win when there's adversity faced against them. Caps lose, like I said, still first in the Metropolitan Division. I'll be honest. Let's be honest here. How many times can we say, oh my gosh, this team is horrible, first place in their division? Like I said, I'm not going to consider it the best, but I understand when people look at it from the outside. How can someone be so mad at a team that's in first place right now? Because they played teams like New Jersey and have that kind of a performance. That's what I'm saying. So we'll get to the good stuff that happened on Friday first. We won't go a full recap of the Red Wings game because, well, it's been a few days and everyone's been able to talk about it. We'll talk about the good stuff from it. Hello, Ovechkin. And we'll kind of look at our Kuehl Kaps tonight. And that'll probably be it for the show because I don't want to look ahead to the big matchup on Friday. Is it Friday, right? Friday or Saturday? It is, Friday, St. Louis, and then Minnesota on Saturday. So you get to take the Winter Classic teams on this weekend. That'll be an interesting little bit for the Washington Capitals. Before we get to all that, though, guys, I got to tell you that it is time to talk about Built Bar because it is the new year. So that means New Year's resolutions. So if you're about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar and maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good you'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars that can be chalky, waxy, or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. And by like week 3, you're thinking, this is just not worth it. Built Bars, by the way, the ones that are covered in chocolate, are 100% real chocolate. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. So go to Built.com right now and get all that good stuff by using the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. So the good stuff from the Red Wings game on Friday. It's a win. Win's a win, 3-1, and the Red Wings are a pesky team. They had a couple extra days off as well. Started off strong, did the Red Wings, and the Caps were able to come back. I really like the way they responded. Evgeny Kuznetsov gets a goal. Shout out to Lucas Johansson getting his first National Hockey League point on that goal as well. Matt Irwin on the assist too. How about that, eh? Beautiful goal by Kuznetsov. Still, the only other player other than Alex Ovechkin to have scored over 10 goals this season. And let me just make sure I have this right here because I want to make sure that Ovechkin get a point today. Yeah, no, he didn't. Alex Ovechkin did not get a point today on Sunday in the game against New Jersey. But Ovi did have a big game on Friday, scoring 2 goals in the third period to help the Capitals come away with a 3-1 win, including the game-winning goal, his 275th power play goal of his career, passing Dave Andreychuk for most all-time in the history of the National Hockey League. Congratulations to Mr. Ovechkin. It was certainly had some controversy with it because people were wondering if the penalty had expired, but they determined after the game that it was true. It was a power play goal, making it number 275 for Ovechkin. And it was a cool, because Ovechkin's celebration made me wonder because, we've seen how crazy Ovechkin can get with the cellies. Sorry, Mike McKenna, but I'm not going to go full into that 50th goal celebration against Tampa many years ago. But it was the fact that Ovechkin was fired up about the goal after the power play goal, the one that squeaked on through. And I remember I thought to myself, was this because he was fired up because it was a big goal late in the third period? Or was it because the fact that he knew it was the record goal? I'm not sure if he knew that. So regardless, though, that was his 23rd. He scores his 24th later on. Johnny Carlson, by the way, who had the 24th assist of the season on that goal. Big, 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 big milestone for him. Also, With that goal, they ended up being the game-winning goal for Ovechkin. That now gives him 119 career game-winning goals, passing Phil Esposito for third all-time in NHL history in that category, which does include regulation and overtime game winners. He is now only two behind the great Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey, and 16 behind none other than Jaromir Jagr, who during a couple of years from the Pittsburgh Penguins was the Pittsburgh Penguins offense, because let's be honest, when Mario was down with injuries during those mid-90s and the late 90s as well, he was it. If he didn't play well, the team didn't win many hockey games. I know, it's funny, now that I'm trying to think about it, Jaromir Jagr had many great highlight reel goals. I'm trying to think of how many game-winning goals that were like legendary, right? Like there's not many that come to mind off the top of my head. The one that always, it's very funny how I think about it, but Jagr's, in my eyes, someone, you can comment on me and tell me if there's one that comes to your head about Jagr scoring like an overtime winner or a big one. But the overtime winner that I know about Jagr that always comes into my head whenever I think about that is one of the game-winning goal he scores against the New York Rangers in April of 1999. Wayne Gretzky's final NHL game. Jaromir Jagr scored the game-winning goal, beating Mike Richter. So whenever I think of Jagr being the all-time leader in game-winning goals, I think to myself, hey, he'd only have 134 if he didn't spoil the party for Wayne Gretzky. Now that would have been kind of a bummer too, because kind of dumb little fact that I know, because I know way too much about hockey, is that Alex Ovechkin, not Alex Ovechkin. What was I thinking? Sorry, I was looking back at my notes. Is that Wayne Gretzky's final 2 games of his career, both of them went to overtime. Because was it the last game? Back-to-back games? I think it was. Because at that point, the word had kind of gotten out that he was going to retire. So they were in Ottawa. And it wasn't if he hadn't made the announcement yet. Let me just quickly pull this up, make sure I don't sound like an idiot here. Yeah, so it was April 15th, 1999. They're in Ottawa at the Coral Center at the time. And they end up tying 2-2. I don't know did Gretzky get a point that game? I think he did. But they tied 2-2, and people are like saluting him or whatever. And I forgot who started the line, but a bunch of the Sens all came over and shook his hand. Nothing was official yet. He made the announcement, and then he ended up losing in overtime to the Penguins in his final game. So, little known trivia fact. And now that I'm here, they went winless in their last 5 overtime games. The Rangers had 4 straight overtime games that season. Wow. Hockey reference. It's a wonderful thing. But I say winless, they actually only lost, of those last 5 games, they only lost 2 of them, because back in the day, kids, you could tie hockey games because the shootout is kind of dumb. So I don't know why you would even bother at this point. I'd say if you can't score after 5 minutes of overtime, you didn't even deserve the extra point, just like the Washington Capitals this season. 0-7 in overtime. Good stuff. Both of their overtime or post-regulation wins this year have come by shootout, i.e. skills competition. Like I said, do the Caps deserve either of those wins? That's a discussion for another day. So we'll get to our Kuehl Kaps here in just a moment's time. And I don't know who I want to give them to today. I will give one here to Dimitri Orlov. I thought he played a really good game. I loved his play, loved his pep in his step that he had. I think he came out and played with, it seemed like just more purpose, and I'm not saying Orlov's had a bad year or he's taking games off, but some games he just goes unnoticed. And as a defenseman, I'll be honest, that's a good thing sometimes. It's not the worst thing to have it be where you are always in the limelight, both for good and bad things. By the way, talk about the power play numbers from the game. I just looked this up. Both teams only had 1 power play. So we can't give this loss to the Washington Capitals inefficiency on the man advantage. But I'm going to give this one to Orlov here. He does get the assist on the Carlson goal, and just seemed like he was skating really well all game long. Lars Eller had a couple of good chances. I'm not know if I'm going to give him a Kuehl Cap, though, even though he did have the chance in overtime. And his assist to Connor Sheary was probably the easiest he ever had in his career. Nick Dowd. I'm going to give Nick Dowd one. Big goal for him. Highlight reel goal as well. Pretty goal. Good-looking play. Not many times you get to really, because guys, let's be honest. I'm going to say this. Just from having skated with pro hockey players, NHLers as well, like guys will try this stuff in summer skates or practice. because you know what? They're kind of messing around and just, maybe they're pretty good. I knew a couple defensemen that had really good hands, really good skate, really good feet, and could make fun plays like that. And they try that stuff all the time in practice. God forbid they ever try it in a game, though, because they don't want to mess up and then look like an idiot. So for Nick Dowd to have the wherewithal to think to himself, when he flips in the air, he thinks, like, I can do this. Flip, bang, goal, highlight reel, goal for sure. Unfortunately, Zegras and Milano's goal may still be the goal of the year, so I'm just going to tell him that may have to go for top 5 there, Mr. Dowd. So those would be my Kuehl Kaps of the night here, right? I know there may be some other guy. Maybe John Carlson deserves one, that being his 8th goal of the season. And it was a great shot as well. Very similar to the goal he scored against Nashville last Wednesday. But those would be my Kuehl Kaps of the night. And so, like I said, now we got a few days off here. A few days off to talk about the Capitals. Talk about the team, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days off. I said 3 earlier. 4 days off. Talk about whatever we want to talk about. I should have mentioned we had 3 shows, I should have said, before the next game. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of off days here on Locked On Capitals. So we'll have some people stop by. We'll maybe preview the game a little bit with St. Louis. Maybe get Locked On Blues. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. That is it, though, for this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm your host, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl. Be sure to follow us at Locked On Caps on Twitter. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I just posted, I thought was a very cute TikTok with my dog running through the snow, because we had some good heavy snowfall after Christmas, of course, on New Year's Day here in West Michigan. She loved it, and it was adorable. I put the really dumb little Einstein's rocket ship little tune to it, and my wife thought it was great too. So that means it's a win, kids. When your wife loves your TikToks, that's a dub. Even though the Caps couldn't get one, I got one on Sunday, and that is it for me. That's a good way to wrap up the weekend, I guess, and start off Monday with a bang, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this week goes, because we got a few days off to talk about it. We'll be back tomorrow talking about the Capitals and more here on Locked On Capitals. Have a good one, everybody.